Let's talk about the relationship between the slope, the y-intercept, and the equation. So first, slope-intercept form of an equation is y equals mx plus b, where the m value represents the slope, the b value represents the y-intercept, and if it's negative, it's going to be y equals mx minus b, right, because we have a negative. But that's not how we talk about it. And then the x and the y that you see in the formula is any point on the line. So they represent literally every ordered pair on the line. Let's play. Let's identify the slope and the y-intercept of the equation. Now, the deal with this is that if you are in slope-intercept form, meaning the y value is by itself, if that's the case, locate x and find the coefficient, because the coefficient of x, or the number in front of x, is going to be your slope. So in this case, our slope is 2. If you want to write that as a fraction, it's 2 over 1. And then our y-intercept is the constant. It's the number all by itself. So the y-intercept in this case is -3, which would lead to an ordered pair of 0, -3, because on the y-axis, that would be the ordered pair. Identify the slope and y-intercept of -2/3 x plus 7 equals y. Once again, notice, y is by itself. So this is slope-intercept form. The coefficient of x is -2/3, so my slope is -2 over 3. And my y-intercept is the constant. In this case, it's 7. So the ordered pair would be 0, 7. Let's identify the slope and the y-intercept here. Well, the y-intercept shouldn't be too bad because we look at the y-axis and say, where does this line cross the y-axis? So we can see it crosses the y-axis right here at -2. So the ordered pair for the y-intercept is 0, -2. To find the slope, we can use the counting method. We start at the leftmost point, and we're working our way up to the right point. So I go up 1, 2, 3. So that was a +3 in a vertical direction. And then 1, 2, positive direction of 2. So my slope is 3/2. And you can see my line is going up, so I do know I have a positive slope. Identify the slope and the y-intercept here. Okay, again, I look at my y-axis. This is where it crosses. So my y-intercept is 0, 2, because it crosses at the point of 2. Now, I start with my leftmost point. Again, I'm going to count down to my other point. So I'm going 1, 2, 3, 4, down 4, which means it's negative, and then right 2. So my slope is -4 over 2. We reduce in our math world, which is the same as -2 over 1. So if I start at my top point and go down 2 and right 1, notice how that is also on my graph. Let's do one more. Let's write an equation with a slope of -1/5 and a y-intercept of 1/2. So if I know that y equals mx plus b, I can say, okay, the slope is -1/2. So instead of -1/5, I'm going to plug in -1/5. And the y-intercept is 1/2. So instead of b, I'm just going to type in 1/2. And there's my equation. Now, one thing I want to talk about real quick is what if we have a slope of 1? So let's say we have a slope of 1 and the y-intercept of 6. So our equation would be y equals 1x plus 6. Well, oftentimes if our coefficient is 1, we just won't write it. So you would see the equation be y equals x plus 6, meaning we understand that this tells us that the slope is equal to 1. Just something to keep in mind as you're working through.